Hello, my name is Marty Hoskins, and this is my 10T kayak made by Ascend. I bought it last year. I bought it used. It was barely used, and I fished out of it for most of last year, a good bit. Got my feet wet, so to speak, probably in more ways than one. And now I'm at the point where I want to do a few things. I'd like to add a few modifications. You can see it's pretty much stock as it is, other than the rod holder that I've got mounted on the center rail right now. I've also got some tethers in there for rods and things of that nature to hold them in place in case I flip it. And I've also got this crate in the back, fairly cheap crate that came from a store. That fits really well, and I've got it strapped down. And what I'm really wanting to work on right now and wanted to provide a video about was raising the seat. The seat's a little low for me. I know it'll make the kayak probably a little more unstable, but my intention is to raise it. I've looked at a lot of videos on how to raise the seats on some of these kayaks. And you know, the 10T is a little bit different than some of the others. I've seen some of the projects people have done with the 12s and some of the old D10s. And the difference is that most people have been able to raise the seat by taking, in this spot right here, running a piece of angled aluminum and setting it on top of this and fastening it to this ledge. And then oftentimes on some of the kayaks, there's also a ledge right up here in the front. Unfortunately, where that front angle would need to go, you've actually got handles. And I've seen some people put tennis balls on the end of things and different things to let the angle iron or some sort of rod set on top of that handle, but I just really didn't want to flex that handle any with my weight on it. I wanted to do something a little bit different, so I'm going to build something that this seat can sit on top of. So I had several objectives when I decided to do this. My first objective was obviously to use the original seat. I want to keep this seat in place. I'd love to have one of the new high back seats, but I'm really not ready to spend money on that. My other objective was to make sure I could use this bracket to hold the seat in position so that it's still adjustable forward and back. I also don't want to drill any holes in the kayak itself, so I want to be able to utilize this bracket and the straps that are in place already to hold the seat in place. So I'm going to build a PVC-based U-shaped bracket that will fit in this area that the seat will sit on top of. And what I have as far as supplies to do that is right over here. So we'll talk about this for just a minute, and then I'll shut the video off and go start doing some work. So I bought 4 of these. These are a type of elbow. You can see they're kind of, so I'm going to use these as the 2 back corners. So essentially I'll put a short piece of PVC in between them so that they sit on top of each other, just like that. So that'll be in the back corner. I bought elbows, 4 elbows to use for the front. And then I've got, you know, 2 long pieces of PVC. All that PVC that we've just talked about is 1 inch in diameter. I've got a piece of 1 1/4 that I might use. I haven't decided whether that's going to be useful or not. And then I have 2, I believe those are angles. Those are, I don't remember the size now. It's been a few days since I bought them. 1 inch by 1/8 inch. So it's 1 inch lands on each side and 1/8 inch thick, 36 inch pieces that the actual seat will sit on top of. So I'm going to build this PVC frame. I'm going to mount those angle irons on top of that frame across the back and across the front, so that the seat will sit on top of them. And then I'm going to use rivets to actually fasten that angle to the PVC. So I'll drill holes to the angle, aluminum angle, and then into the PVC, and then I'll use rivets to mount those there. I've got a couple of ideas on how to actually fasten the seat to the frame that I'm building. I don't know whether I'll use these hook eyes. If I do, I'm going to have to bend those out a little bit because that opening's not quite big enough to go around the metal frame of the chair. It's really close, so I might be able to put these in a vise and bend that out. If I can, I'll drill holes and put that in there, or I may just use some sort of tie strap like these to fasten in place. But I really like the idea of the hook eyes because that'll keep the seat from sliding side to side. I'm not sure how stable the straps will be, but we'll explain that when we get there. So that's kind of the plan right now. I've got a lot of cutting to do and a lot of gluing to do. And as I get to different stages, I'll try to stop, take out another video and show you what I've done. So hopefully this will be a nice little mod for a 10T seat raise, which is something I don't see a whole lot of out there on YouTube. So stick around, we'll see how this goes. Thanks a lot. Okay, I'm back. I finished cutting some of the pieces. What we have over here on the right are 4 pieces of 1 inch PVC that are each 1 3/4 inches long. These are the vertical pieces for the 4 corners. It'll make more sense when we start putting this together. These pieces here are, I've forgotten how long they are already. Hang on just a second. Let me grab a tape measure. I believe these are exactly 17 inches. 17 inches long. Those are the side pieces that'll run front to back of the chair on each side. And then these pieces over here are exactly 16 and 1/8 of an inch. Now, I've cut these to allow for the penetration that they'll take into, if you can see that, there's a shoulder inside there. You get some sun, okay, you can see it now. There's a shoulder inside there that PVC will sink up to. So I allowed for that distance and the outside dimensions of my connections to get the right width. So in other words, the overall width of this particular setup from side to side here, from here to here, will be 19 inches. That'll give me a little bit of play, not a whole lot, but just a little bit of play. And then from front to back, actually what I did is I did it from center to center of these chairs. It's 18.5 inches. And that way when I lay my aluminum angle on top of that piece that's running across here, when I lay it on top of there, it'll match up to this. So that's kind of the idea. And I'm gonna cut the video off again, and I'm gonna start trying to assemble all this, glue it up. I've already dry fitted things, which is a good idea to do. And then I'll assemble it all up and you'll get to see the actual PVC portion of the assembly. Then we'll talk about how we're going to use those 2 pieces of angle aluminum in order to mount them on, get them cut, get them drilled out, the holes drilled in the PVC where they'll mount, get all that done. And then I have these two bolts up here. These are 3/8 inch 16 thread bolts. And the idea is that I'll run those through the PVC, and essentially these bolts will actually fit right down inside that holder. You can see it slides right in there, just like the original bolts. And actually the square lands on each side keep it from turning. And on the inside, I'll have a wing nut that I can use. So I'll have to drill a hole through the PVC to match this up. It'll be 4.5 inches from the back, I think is what I've measured, from the back of the center of these things, so that it sits in the same spot the chair originally set at. So that's the objective here in a little bit. I'll be back in a few. Okay, so we've started gluing some of the pieces together. I've taken those short 1 1/4 and used those to join those 2, these 2, and 2 of the elbows in each one. So what we have here is the back corner of the bracket. So we got a back corner and a back corner. The 2 16 and 1/8 pieces will go from here to here and here to here. I don't know why I cut 4 of those. You only need 2 of them. Go figure. And then the 4 17-inch pieces will go from here to here like this. So you'll essentially have this set up, and then it'll lay up on its side. And it'll be a nice little base that'll sit down in the kayak. We'll drill the holes for the 3/8 inch bolts that'll mount to the kayak, and start working on putting the aluminum angle on top of it. So that's kind of what that looks like right now. What I'm going to do is assemble each side first, like this. One side here, and then this side over here with the 17-inch pieces that go on each side. And then once I have that assembled, then I'm going to go ahead and mark and drill the hole for the 3/8 inch bolts to go through. Hopefully my drill press will get me through that. I want to drill those before I put the pieces across the back, and this becomes a big unwieldy mess to try to fit on a drill press and keep me from having to drill it by hand. Then once I get those holes drilled, I can assemble the whole thing. So I'm going to stop again and pause here for a minute while I assemble those two sides, and then we'll come back and talk about drilling those holes. Okay, here we are back again. Neighbor's dogs barking, all kinds of things going on. But here I've got this basic frame assembled. You can see I made basically a C shape. This isn't fastened down yet. I've got these bolts in place. They fit into the original hardware that was on the kayak. I've got all this set and ready, and then I've got this. I've got holes already drilled for this, drilled through the aluminum brace. This will be the back support for the seat. You can see I've got these two little stops. Basically the rubber feet on the seat will sit just inside those, these rubber feet right here, and that'll keep it from sliding side to side. Once I get the back mounted, pop rivet in place, then I'll figure out where the front goes, pop rivet it in place, and then I can set the seat on top of these two pieces of aluminum angle, and then use a strap around the back here just to hold the seat down so that it doesn't come up. And I'm not going to fasten the seat permanently. The nice part about this particular method is, one, it's about a 5-inch raise in your seat height, and it allows me to take everything out and put the seat back in as it was before. There's no holes in the kayak or anything like that to deal with. So let me finish up. I'll be back. Okay, other than painting, I have completed this project. I actually made an adjustment on what I was going to do. I decided I didn't really need straps to hold the seat in. You can see I've got the two angle aluminums. That's 1/8 inch aluminum. Sorry for the car horn. Neighbors are playing. So I can take this chair now and take it back here, and I put the back end down inside that aluminum where the 2 feet go in between those two stops to keep it centered, keep it slide side by side. It sits right down in that front angle. And then to fasten it down so that it doesn't move, I just make sure I put a couple of S-hooks on the bottom, on the ends of these stock straps, and I just take that strap, stretch it around, hook that S-hook into one of the D-rings, take this one over here, grab that S-hook, pull it up, stretch it around. Hard to do one-handed. I'll try that again. Hook it into the D-ring on the other side, and now it's sitting there. It won't slide side to side. I can lift it up to get stuff out from under the seat if I want to. Set it back down. Might take a little bit of work to get it back in place when you flip it up like that, but once it's in place, there it is. And it raises the seat about 5 inches up. Gives you all that storage space underneath. I got a place to put things now. So hope y'all understand what I tried to accomplish, and I hope it's helpful for somebody. Appreciate it. Let me know down below in the comments if you find this useful.